Xbox On. Welcome to Xbox On, a podcast with one host about one console, Xbox. I'm said host Jesse DeRosa, and on today's episode, we'll be talking about the latest Xbox news for the week of July 4th, 2024, including Xbox Game Pass is coming to Amazon Fire TV devices soon, a new dashboard hints at a possible future look as Xbox turns more platform agnostic, the internet is predictably overreacting about a Xbox network outage that took place this week, and more. This week in Xbox history, in the year 2010, 14 years ago, Crackdown 2 was released for the Xbox 360. Crackdown 2, what can I say about this one, except... I'm definitely one of those people who really only knows about Crackdown because two reasons. The first one had that Halo 3 demo built into it, and so a lot of people cared about it because they wanted to play Halo 3, and Crackdown 3 was like a vaporware project that was in development hell forever and then finally came out and it wasn't very good. And if it weren't for those two things, I pretty much wouldn't remember a damn thing about this series. I don't know, it just never did it for me. I never really played... I never played the first Crackdown at all. Only played a little bit of Crackdown 2. Barely touched Crackdown 3 before I was like, nah, it's just not for me. I've tried. I've given Crackdown a try a couple times. The Terry Crews angle with the marketing of Crackdown 3, that worked for me a little bit. And then you quickly realize after 20 minutes of playing the game, it's like, okay, I need a little more than Terry Crews to keep me in this game. And for those who like the Crackdown series, good for you. I'm sorry that you're probably never getting another one, but I don't know. It's just this is an Xbox IP that can die, and I can comfortably live with that reality. So sorry, not Xbox fans. Sorry, Crackdown fans. Well, I'm sorry, Xbox fans as well, because let's be honest. Pretty soon your favorite console is going to be a streaming stick, and all your games are going to be on PlayStation. So why don't you fucking cry about it, you dumb Xbots? Gotcha. All right, guys. Welcome to episode 266 of the most sarcastic Xbox podcast on the internet. Mike Clark writes in and says, boy, that digital future just keeps stacking the W's. I think that's sarcasm. We'll get into that, okay? We'll follow up on the Forza thing. We got some other stuff to talk about there, so chill out. First, just want to say very happy 4th of July to all of our U.S.-based listeners, which I think is 90% of the audience. So yeah, happy 4th of July. And in celebration of the holiday, just want to give a little fun fact about American history to kind of make this episode a little festive in the spirit of the holiday. So here we go. A little fun fact about some American history to start off Xbox On. And the fun fact is, despite the popular misconception, New Jersey was actually never one of the original 13 colonies. If you thought it was, you're dumb. And that's your fun fact for the week about American history. Yeah, cool. I don't know. I like 4th of July a lot, and I always feel weird about it, specifically in the past 5 years, because it's one of those holidays where, the internet is such a fucking miserable place. It makes you think you're either a fucking Nazi or a snowflake, no matter what you think or feel, so you have to, second guess yourself. It's I love the 4th of July, and it's not because I'm an overtly patriotic person. It has actually nothing to do with the United States of America. It's I love 4th of July because, I don't know, the same reason I love Christmas. I don't give a shit about Jesus Christ being born on December 25th. I like Christmas because I like the decorations, I like the festivities, I like the weather, the cool, cozy, comfy, it's cold outside, but we're cozy inside, presents, Christmas tree, family comes together, big special, who doesn't love Christmas? Fuck you, man. Jingle All the Way. It's a great movie. So I don't know, I have a very similar affinity with 4th of July, where it's like the summertime Christmas. It's great. It's full of shenanigans. It's a great day to hang out with friends and family. Cookouts, summer weather, swimming, the beach, the lake, the pool, whatever the fuck it is. If you're older, maybe you're into the alcohol. If you're younger, maybe it's all about kicking back a couple Mountain Dews. Burgers, hot dogs, pizzas, staying up late with your buddies, campfires. It's the shit. And then, of course, fireworks. Fireworks are coolest, no offense, China, probably the coolest thing we ever got from China. I don't know. Fireworks are pretty badass. I'm a huge fan of 4th of July. It's great. It's one of those things where I never thought about it. I've always loved 4th of July, and I've had to think about it in recent years why I love the 4th of July so much. And it's like, well, man, I feel like, because it's one of those things where like people try to rain on your parade. It's like, God bless America, happy 4th of July. And then someone else is like, if you think 4th of July is a good holiday, you're a fascist and a racist. It's like, God damn it, dude. I just really fucking like cheeseburgers and watermelon. Fuck me. But then, I don't know. At least personally for me, I thought about, I'm like, 4th of July is like that holiday that like encapsulates, especially when you're young. It's perfect. It's like it like captures that like endless summer, fleeting youth kind of thing. It's a great holiday to spend time with your friends. I have so many good memories. 4th of July's in high school, like going to a friend's house and setting off fireworks and being stupid and all that shit. Like that's good. That's good times right there. And I don't know, this is the holiday that kind of like wraps that up and kind of encapsulates that a little bit. So it's also like that dead middle of summer. It's like that we're halfway through the summer. Fuck, school's coming back in a few weeks. But it's also like, we're in the middle of summer. Let's fucking live it up and enjoy it before it's, I don't know. Shout out to 4th of July. You're a good holiday. Despite what our piece of shit government does or doesn't do and our troubled history as a nation, I don't care about any of that. Fuck you, America. Shout out to the 4th of July. Also, if you think 4th of July is a really good day to be hot, go in a swimming pool, drink a Mike's Hard Lemonade, might I recommend the 5th of July. It's historically a pretty similar day, in terms of the weather and all those things. But guys, let's steer clear from the holidays. I'm sorry, we do have some British listeners. We have some listeners in Brazil. We have some listeners in Germany, Mexico, all these other parts of the world. And I just want to say to you guys, sorry to waste a minute and 47 seconds of your life talking about a holiday that you don't even get to celebrate. You know what? You can celebrate it. I don't give a shit. You guys can fucking put hot dogs on the grill and drink a Coors Light because Bud Light is for gays. Like, I don't care. Just fucking have a good time. Let's all enjoy the summer, unless you're Australian, because now it's winter and that sucks for you. Anyway, what are we talking about? Xbox. Notable game releases of the week. Guys, couple of notable game releases this week. First one, of course, I just have to mention this because of the controversy around it. Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail. Comes to Xbox Series S and X because Final Fantasy XIV is indeed on Xbox nowadays. So it's out as of the time you listen to this podcast. You can already go ahead and play it. But there is, unfortunately some bad news that has come with this because apparently this expansion is wrought with a bunch of bugs and issues. And yeah, people are bitching and moaning about how specifically the Xbox version is like completely fucked. And Square Enix was like, hey, we're aware that this game is not working, or this DLC, or not DLC, what is it, an expansion? It's an MMORPG, for Christ's sake. This MMORPG has this DLC that sucks, and it's not fun, and we're going to fix it. And, the modern video game thing. Here's a new game. It's broken. Give us $70. So, I don't know. I'm sure there are a lot of people bummed out about this. If you're trying to finally get some Japanese games on the Xbox platform and encourage Xbox players to support Japanese games, I don't know. This isn't a good look because this is one of the biggest Japanese games on Xbox right now. But these things do happen, and I don't know. Is anybody surprised that a new piece of video game content came out and it was broken? I'm sure it'll be fixed by the time this podcast goes live. That's how these things always go. Anyway, that's the first one. I don't really give a shit about that game. I just got to mention it for the sake of mentioning it. This next one, I'm pretty interested in this game. The First Descent. What is it? The First Descendant. Not the First Descent. The First Descendant. This game is also out as the time you're listening to this. It's on last-gen hardware, current-gen hardware, PC, whatever you want to play on. This game looks awesome. This is that free-to-play looter-shooter game from Nexon, the Korean publisher/developer Nexon. This is the guys that do Guild Wars. They've done a lot of things since Guild Wars, but I know them best for Guild Wars. This game has looked good since it was first announced at, what was it announced at Summer Games Fest, like 2022 or something? I don't know. We've seen it for a couple of years now, and every time I'm like, that looks like a game that should be done, but actually looks pretty good. And yeah, it's out now, and apparently people are really digging it. It seems like the reviews for it, the general, feedback from it is, hey, this game's a lot of fun. If you're someone who's coming off of Destiny, or you're a Warframe fan, or you're a fan of those kinds of games, First Descendant is a game you should probably look into. And, I'm thinking about it as we wrap up the final shape, and it's a good jumping off point for Destiny. This is a game I would definitely like to, it's free to play. Why not? Download it, give it a week of my life, maybe enjoy it quite a bit, move on. So I'm thinking about giving it a try. It looks pretty darn good. I'm thinking this might be the game I try after the game I'm playing right now, which we'll get to in a little bit. But yeah, this First Descendant looks quite nice. And the thing I love about these Korean games is sometimes they got a little bit of that anime Japanese Asian weirdness shit going on, like the girl with the fucking mech bunny ears and crap like that. But a lot of Korean video games also are heavily, heavily Western inspired. So it's like the perfect balance between like that creepy fucking Final Fantasy Genshin Impact shit and then like that more like garish, dark, mature, grim, miserable Western, like European/American style game. So it's a nice balance between the two aesthetics, and it kind of comes out looking unique in that way. So shout out to Korean video game art, I guess. What are we talking about here? Oh, yeah. Speaking of weird Japanese shit, Capcom's newest IP has a demo out now. So, Kuritsu Gami, Path of the Goddess, which is a game that was revealed at Xbox's showcase last year. It is a day one Game Pass game from Capcom, and it comes out in just a few weeks on July 19th. Again, day one Game Pass game. Has a demo that actually just came out this week, so you can play it now if you want to get a little taste for it. You're really excited about getting your hands on this when it comes to Game Pass on July 19th. Game looks pretty good. This is, again, the same thing I said about it when it was announced. This is a game that I don't know will work for me. Usually I'm pretty good at looking at a game and just immediately knowing like that is or isn't a Jesse game. This is one of those rare games where I'm looking at it, I'm like, I definitely want to give this game a try, but I have no clue whether or not this is a game I would like. But it's cool. It's like this action, like third-person action, hack and slashy style, like Japanese action sword samurai style game. But you also control some forces. It's not like a total strategy game or anything, but you have some control over some units. And it's kind of like, I don't know, from a layman's idiotic point of view, it looks like Wonderful 101 meets fucking, what are those games called? Hyrule Warriors. It was the spinoff. They do Dynasty Warriors. It looks like Dynasty Warriors meets Wonderful 101 meets like some weird, like it's got that like that Shinto Japanese thing where it's like all dark and grim and samurai like, but then there's also like all these weird Shinto creatures like zombified fucking skulls and plants and pottery that comes to life and has arms and long tongues and all the weird Pokemon Yu-Gi-Oh shit you're used to seeing from the land of the rising sun. So I don't know, the game looks cool, looks very unique. I'm very interested in giving this one a go. And if you're really eager about it, you can play the demo now, but I'm going to wait till July 19th, give it a proper try when it comes out on Game Pass, the full product. But yeah, those are some notable game releases of the week. Look at that. All Japanese, Korean. What the fuck is this about? We're talking about two Japanese and a Korean game, two Japanese games and one Korean game. Okay, let me clarify because it sounded a little weird the way I was going. Two Japanese games, one Korean game, all on Xbox. What is this? A platform that has more than just Forza, Gears, and Halo? Look at us. We're growing up, guys. Just in time to put all of our games on PlayStation while we're at it, Speaking of Forza, so we do have a correction, or an update, rather. It's more of an update. So last week, one of the big things we talked about was how, unfortunately, Forza Horizon 4 is being delisted on December 15th, and how, just like they do with every Forza game, once it reaches a certain age, all the licensing for the cars and the music and everything in the game expires. Microsoft doesn't pay up the money to keep those licenses renewed, and the game gets delisted as a result of it. So unless you have a physical copy or you already have it digitally purchased and downloaded in your library, you basically lose the ability to purchase this game from digital storefronts. And so we were lamenting how that sucks, and how, that's kind of what Mike Clark's opening comment alludes to when he says, boy, the digital future just keeps stacking the W's, with his little sarcastic little nod there. Well, hey, yeah, it does suck. This sucks for game preservation. It sucks that a game that is 6 years old could be delisted already, especially when it's important as a first-party game, especially as one as big as Forza Horizon. But this is the world we live in, and this does happen. So we were lamenting how shit that is. But about a day after the podcast went live last week, I was on my way to the Cracker Barrel for a Friday evening cheat meal with my girlfriend. And my phone goes ding. And since I was not in the driver's seat, I checked my phone, and wouldn't you know it, Xbox was sending me a push notification. It was like getting it was like getting a text message from an old friend you haven't talked to in a long time. So it was nice, it was welcoming. I said, well, Xbox, what do you want to tell me right now on this fine Friday evening as I quickly approach my impending doom over at the Cracker Barrel? And it said, I'll read you the push notification. It says the following. Thank you for playing Forza Horizon 4 with Xbox Game Pass. The game will no longer be available with Game Pass or purchasable in the Microsoft Store after December 15th, 2024. As a token of our appreciation for your purchase of add-on content, here's a code for the Digital Standard Edition to continue enjoying the game. And then they sent me, download code for like the base version of Forza Horizon 4. So just for free, they're just giving me a copy of Forza Horizon 4, which I thought this was a very, very classy move. So I saw a lot of people talking about this online shortly afterwards, where it looks like what they were doing is if you don't own Forza Horizon 4, but you have Game Pass, you're not automatically getting a copy of Forza Horizon 4. It is if you have Game Pass and you played Forza Horizon 4 and then you purchased content in Forza Horizon 4. So I don't own the game, but I have Game Pass, and then I bought DLC cars or the Lego expansion or the, what was it called? The Dark Isles, the island expansion they did, whatever it's called. If you bought one of the expansions, if you bought DLC, basically they're going around and they're gifting the standard version of the game to those players because they're saying, hey, you already bought this DLC, which is completely useless once we delist the game since it won't be on Game Pass anymore. So to future-proof your DLC purchase, here's a copy of the standard version of the game, which I thought this was really classy because, I mean, there's potential money they're leaving on the table in doing this because you could have announced the game's delisting in July, kept the game on sale for 6 more months, raked in the sales as people want to get in their last-minute purchase before the game's delisted, and then, you know, maybe do something like this as a goodwill effort in the last couple weeks before the game's delisted, but there's a full 6 months in advance, and they just go, don't worry about it. Here's a copy of the game for free. I thought that was a very classy move, a very nice way to handle it. It doesn't take away the fact that this totally sucks that the game's being delisted because, I don't know, you think about like the 7-year-old boy who right now doesn't give a flying fuck about Forza Horizon 4, but is going to probably watch Disney Pixar's Cars 3 when he's 8, become awe-inspired by the majesty of that movie, become obsessed with the automotive world as a result of seeing that movie, and then by the time he's 12, 13, 14, he's going to be growing out of Pixar's Cars, hopefully not, and growing into Top Gear, Forza, all this kind of shit, Subaru, you know, whatever, and he's going to be like, man, I wish I could go back and play all the old Forza games, but they're not on the Xbox storefront anymore, so I just can't play these games. They're just lost to history unless I want to outbid some fucking neckbeard on eBay for an unsealed, you know, for a sealed, unopened copy of the game from 2018. So again, this is still a total fucking L, as they would say, for game preservation, and I'm still not happy with it. But kind of like the way Xbox just, I don't know, just Xbox is so obsessed with like smacking you in the face with like over the top customer service / value. And this is just, it plays into that so much. It's like, you know, like when you cancel your subscription to Game Pass and they just randomly refund you your money even though you've had Game Pass for like a week and you played it, you know? It's like that kind of level of service where Xbox just does these stupid things where it's like, you don't have any obligation to do that, but you do it anyway. I guess this is the kind of stuff you do when you're in third place and you desperately need to keep your user base happy. But nonetheless, I'll take it, man. Listen, as a Disney fan, I'm used to being slapped around and treated like shit. So hey, it's nice for it. I appreciate you, Xbox. Thank you. I see what you're doing. It's nice. So yeah, it looks like if you played Forza Horizon 4 on Game Pass but don't own the game, but you've bought DLC, you may be entitled to this. They'll reach out to you through Xbox and gift you a copy of the standard version of the game. And I think that's fucking awesome because I had every intention of buying this game before it was delisted, and now I don't have to. So thanks, Xbox, for once again giving me a shitload of value. And honestly, by way of being a Game Pass member, this is just more value for having Game Pass. So cool. Thought that was cool. All right, guys. With that said, let's move on into the mildly amusing stories. These are our appetizers or stories that we kind of use to get us ready for a week full of lengthy, thick, girthy news stories. You know, a little fucking escargot slugging it down your mouth before the steak frites gets here because, of course, you're eating that little French restaurant. You're eating that little Bistrot de France, and you know, you got a little fucking what are the Frenchie? They eat snails, they eat steak frites, and then for dessert, they probably just drink coffee and eat cigarettes. So before we get to the coffee and cigarettes, let's start out with the escargot. All right, what the fuck are we talking about? Talked about the French. We talked about the Americans. God help us. Speaking of God helping us, is the Xbox network down? Is Xbox Live is down, guys? All right. I'll put this at the very top of the show because let's just get the most non-story out of the way because it hurts my brain having to have this conversation. So, Xbox network went down this week. It was like Tuesday. You know, it was quickly like, it was one of those Twitter things where it's like, my Xbox won't connect to Xbox Live. And yeah, there was a partial outage. This has happened before in the past, so it'll probably happen again in the future. And a lot of people were unable to log in to their Xbox profiles and do jack shit on their Xboxes, which does suck and does need to be fixed and addressed promptly. So yeah, that sucks. So for about a day, a portion of Xbox users were having a hard time logging in, and the network was down for a decent number of people. That sucks. I'm not trying to downplay the fact that that sucks. And speaking of Xbox doing make goods, for people affected, throw them a bone, give them like a week free of Game Pass or something to make up for the fact that they weren't able to use their Xboxes yesterday, especially for subscriptions they're paying for. They were just out a day. So yeah, sure, they should do something about that. But I just want to real quick. This has happened before. I think this happened last year at one point, and this happened a few years ago. This is probably the fourth or fifth time in the past decade I can think of where Xbox Network had a day or two where it was oh shit, it's kind of down. It's kind of down for 5 hours. I don't know, man. It sucks. But does anybody really expect these things not to happen at some point? I don't know. It would be a problem if Xbox Network went down the way the PlayStation Network went down in 2000. What was that? 2009. Where it was down for a whole month. That was a fucking problem. But I don't know, man. If you come home from work after a long day on a Tuesday night, you sit down, you're I'm going to crack open a fucking Michelob Ultra because Bud Light's for gays, and I'm going to freaking play 45 minutes of Call of Duty Modern Warfare because Black Ops is for what's. Whatever. I get it. You're tired. You looked forward to this all day. This is your me time. This is your relaxation time. Only for you to turn on your Xbox and be met with a can't sign you in. Something's wrong. Oops. Network error. Oops. Error 772897. And then you go on Twitter because it's what you do when you need a bitch. And lo and behold, all your favorite Xbox pundits are going, the Xbox Network is down, gamers. Red alert, gamers. Red alert. Xbox Network is down. Yeah, that sucks, man. That really sucks. But also, we need to be, I don't know, man. We need to be interesting enough as human beings that if for one night the Xbox Network is giving you shit, you can go, that sucks. I'm just going to go read a book now. That sucks. I'm going to go pet my cat now. That sucks. I'm going to go watch reruns of The Office because I like Michael Scott. What? Go do something else, man. For one night, go do something else. I'm not trying to excuse this. Obviously, Xbox, you're Microsoft, you're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, you're a trillion-dollar corporation. Make this work. Make this not broken anymore. Get your shit together, obviously. But at the same time, we as the public, the consumers, need to also hold ourselves accountable and be whoa, let's not freak the fuck out. If we wake up in 2 days and the Xbox Network is still down, it's all right, what the fuck's going on? If a week later the Xbox Network is still down, it's Xbox, this is fucking inexcusable. What are you guys doing about this? But if for 12 hours one day, Xbox Network is down, it's that's not an outage, baby. That's server maintenance. Calm down. Obviously, this was unplanned. They would have announced if it had been planned. I'm not trying to give them all the excuse in the world, but I just feel people are. It's kind of much to do about nothing. And what bothered me the most about this story wasn't that it happened. It was that I had to read about it constantly for 48 hours because people wouldn't shut the fuck up about it. And I guess that's kind of what I'm really getting at. Not trying to give Microsoft a pass for this having happened. Just trying to tell people they're obnoxious for overreacting anytime anything happens. It's just calm down. I know it was inconvenient. It did suck. I'm not trying to downplay that. It sucked. But shut up. Don't you have tech decks you can play with? Go fucking do something, okay? Also, I didn't have time to play Xbox yesterday because Tuesday night is podcast note writing night. Plus, it's my week to cook dinner. So between cooking dinner, going on a walk, and doing the podcast notes, I didn't have a single second to play video games. So, worth mentioning, this wouldn't have affected me either way. Tuesdays, I don't play video games. Ha! Sucks to be you guys. You should have planned your podcast around Tuesdays better if you wanted to not be affected by network outages. Now, I'll tell you one thing that does suck when it happens, and there's no excuse. When your power goes out, when your air conditioning goes out, that shit sucks. There's a program that every major dealership uses, and I think it's fixed now, but for the past couple of weeks, it was every Ford dealership, it was a bunch of dealerships. I know Ford was one of them, but their computers were completely down. They couldn't process cars or do work or anything. Oh my God. That's a fucking problem. Woof. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, problems. Next up here, Crash Bandicoot. Maybe coming to Game Pass. Hey, look, something from Activision. 3 more Activision Blizzard games are reportedly being added to Game Pass in the near future. That's according to Xputer writer Extras Ones. The fuck kind of name is that? Extas Ones, who has a strong recent track record of revealing upcoming Game Pass games ahead of their official confirmation. According to the leaker, Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy will join Game Pass in August, claim that has since been corroborated by Windows Central. Not only that, but Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2 and Spyro Reignited Trilogy are also coming to Game Pass very soon, Extas One has claimed. Bro, that's like everything good from Activision. Tony Hawk, Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot. Okay, we're done here. Give me Black Ops, we're done. That's everything good from Activision. Unless you're going to finally give me, I don't know, like the Spider-Man 2 video game from 2004. Like, that's great, baby. I'll take it. Let's get American Wasteland in there while we're at it. No, that's great. So, here's the thing is, like, I know there's a lot of frustration about how long it's taken, like, Call of Duty games in particular to get onto Game Pass. And we talked about this, about the strategy of when you do it, how you do it. There's a lot you're going to gain and lose based on when you put these games on there. So you got to do it very strategically. And I think they want to test things first with Black Ops 6 before they do anything else, because they want data that just explains how the latest and greatest Call of Duty would do for Game Pass with or without the muddying of other Call of Duty games being on the platform. I think there's a lot they got to mess with there. But when it comes to games like Call of Duty or Tony Hawk, Spyro, Crash, like these are legacy franchises that are pretty much abandoned at this point. Like Activision went through a phase essentially 5 years ago where they're like, let's do collections for some of our old franchises. And that's how we got these games in the first place. But then immediately afterwards said, yeah, we only sold 30 million copies of Crash Bandicoot. That's not that much. We should just take the developer and make them work on Warzone DLC skins of Nicki Minaj's left boob sweat sometimes so that we can make $20 a rip off these fucking morons who buy this shit instead of, I don't know, more Crash Bandicoot and Spyro games. I don't want to talk about it. It makes me irate, as you can tell. But this is great. Obviously, we want these games in Game Pass. These are actually the kinds of games I've been waiting for in Game Pass. While I do already have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1+2, I have held off on Spyro and Crash trilogies for so long. I don't even know why. Especially, I don't really care about Crash that much, but Spyro, I love Spyro, man. I am such a fucking classic Spyro. Man, that's some good old time Insomniac shit. I would love to play those games again. So I've just been holding out because for the past few years, I'm like, I know I could just buy it on sale for $12, or I can wait 3 more years and it will come to Game Pass. So I'm just holding out. I'm holding out. And I'm a little surprised that they didn't sprinkle these around sooner, you know, like, okay, acquire Activision in November, got to wait a few months, maybe in February you do Diablo, maybe in April you do Tony Hawk, maybe in June you do Crash Bandicoot. You know, it's like dole it out throughout the year as we slowly work our way to Black Ops 6 in October. But it's been mostly, you know, aside from Diablo 4, it's just been dry, man. It's a barren wasteland out here waiting for Activision Blizzard games to come to Game Pass. So this is great. This would actually be the first round of Activision games to come to Game Pass because Diablo 4 is Blizzard. So it's crazy. It's crazy it's taken this long, but very much welcome. Let's hope that we hear about this very soon. August, that's an okay time. It's a little unfortunate. It'd be really great if you guys did this in, I don't know, June, July, the dead of summer when there are no games coming out and people want shit to play. And just always going to make that point every time I can. But exciting nonetheless. I'm very much looking forward to that. All right, speaking of nostalgia. Yeah, speaking of 90s nostalgia. All right, here's the next one. Sega's in-development Crazy Taxi reboot is apparently supposed to be a massively multiplayer-driven game, according to a new recruitment video that was released. The new Crazy Taxi game is being developed by Sega's Sapporo, or we call it Sapporo here in the United States, but in Japan they call it Sapporo. By Sega's Sapporo Studio. I don't know why the fuck I'm saying this. Which was established in December of 2021, so this is one of their new teams, and this team helps with the development of various Sega games. So they are kind of like a where do you need a coach kind of team. In the new recruitment video published on the Japanese game dev's website, producer Kenji Kano, who was the director of the original Crazy Taxi game, and other members of the development team shared new details about the reboot. According to the video, the development team is currently testing adapting the classic Crazy Taxi gameplay, which is players transporting passengers to destinations as fast as possible, into a game world with multiple players. The rebooted Crazy Taxi will take place in a large, realistic city based on the United States West Coast with a theme park-like map, according to the video. That sounds like exactly the kind of map you should be making. You know, what we could talk about whether or not it should be online, should be open world, you know, whatever. But U.S. West Coast theme park-like, ridiculous, over the top. That's exactly what you should be doing. Job listings offer further details describing the new Crazy Taxi as a new major online title. With an open world, a massively multiplayer driving game elements, and according to the listing, Crazy Taxi is being built on Unreal Engine. Maybe Unreal Engine 5, who knows? Sega announced at the Game Awards last December that it's developing new entries in pre-existing studios like Jet Set Radio, Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, Shinobi, and Crazy Taxi. I think this is the one that probably has the most... I don't know, I feel like this is the one that most people like latched onto when it was announced, when they did this trailer. For me, I'm very much looking forward to this 3D Golden Axe, but mostly, of course, Jet Set Radio, whether it's a remake, a new game, whatever we talked about a little bit last week. But yeah, Crazy Taxi, I'm looking forward to all 5 of these games, let's be honest. But Crazy Taxi, I mean, that is a beloved... To me, I know Crazy Taxi, to some people, is a beloved arcade game, and you know, there's 2 versions of the arcade game. There's the sit-down one, the stand-up one. Obviously, we're talking about the sit-down one, which is a fucking classic, beloved arcade game. Shout out to Star Time in Roswell, Georgia from back in the day, which no longer exists, but I used to play the good Crazy Taxi arcade cabinet there all the fucking time back in the day. But that is not where my love and nostalgia for Crazy Taxi comes from. No, Crazy Taxi to me is the Crazy Taxi is to the Sega Dreamcast what Perfect Dark Zero is to the Xbox 360. The only difference is Crazy Taxi is good and Perfect Dark Zero is painfully mediocre. Where it's that game that's like, when we first got the console, this was the game we had to play. So you played it all the time because this was the game you had. And so, I don't know, like to me, it's like, obviously you think about the Sega Dreamcast, you're like, oh my God, Sonic Adventure. But Crazy Taxi, I don't know. That's that like for the first 48 hours of having a Sega Dreamcast, it was like everyone in the house huddled around the TV watching Crazy Taxi. This shit's awesome. And I remember those memories very vividly. So I just have a very soft spot for Crazy Taxi. It's of course, a really beloved arcadey style game. Great Sega game. It's so, dude, Crazy Taxi, it's one of those games where everything about its gameplay, its aesthetic, its style, its music, its art, everything, dude, screams Japan, screams 90s, screams punk rock, screams West Coast. It's got everything. It's just like everything that is 90s, like fucking ketchup that's purple, you know, fucking spiked up hair, Smash Mouth, Blink-182, skateboards and inline skates and BMX bikes and California and surfing and a shark bit my fucking leg off, whatever the hell. It's like this shit, that's the 90s, baby. I'm talking about high C, that's every color but normal, you know? It's like, this is... Crazy Taxi is one of the most quintessential 90s experiences. And Sega Dreamcast is an incredibly, you know, anything Sega, but especially the Dreamcast, that's super fucking 90s. So I have a very big soft spot for Crazy Taxi. Very much I'm looking forward to this game. Now, all of that opining for yesteryear and for the original Crazy Taxi aside, open world, massively multiplayer Crazy Taxi game. Let's not talk about the more generic conversation of, should this game be an open world game? Should this game be a multiplayer game? Should this game be online? Because I think for most of us, we're probably like, I don't know that I need that in a Crazy Taxi game. Who cares? Well, let's say they pull it off. Who cares? The question I want to know is, what makes you think there is room for this game? In a world where developers are being laid off every 72 seconds, in a world where every game is being canceled during its development cycle and nothing's coming to fruition, in a world where everything that comes out, not everything, but a lot of games that come out are underwhelming, get poorly reviewed, and then are forgotten, you know, don't sell, don't get a player base, or just immediately they just come and go and they're washed away. What makes you think the way to bring back Crazy Taxi is by taking a huge risk and saying, people want to deliver a Catholic priest to a Pizza Hut in a massively open world game with friends? I don't even know what you do with the gameplay style of a Crazy Taxi game to overcomplicate enough to make it a massively multiplayer online game. Because the simplicity and the beauty of Crazy Taxi is it's just that fucking easy. The mechanics are drive, reverse, steer. There's 3 buttons, man. It's the right trigger, the left trigger, and the analog stick for steering, man. You don't gotta make it all that What are you gonna do? Ooh, have you hopped on Crazy Taxi this week? There's a new public event where you can upgrade your exhaust tip. You can get the Nicki Minaj exhaust tip featured by Activision's Call of Duty if you play this month's event. Oh yeah, what's this month's event? it's the fucking Doritos Doja Cat challenge. You got to go through the fucking public event where you fight Doja Cat, and then you got to jump onto the train, and then from there you got to go into the Mystic Ruins from Sonic Adventure 1. You got to retrieve all the Chaos Emeralds, and then you take those into the nearest fucking Pizza Hut in the game, and then when you take it to the Pizza Hut, you order a number 5, you wink at the cashier, and you hand her the green emerald, not the yellow one, the green one, and she'll use that and turn it into earrings. Now, these earrings belong to Nicki Minaj, and so you're going to go to this house, and it's like, what the fuck is going to be a Crazy Taxi, the open world adventure? Should you do Crazy Taxi this way? I doubt it. But hey, it's cool that Crazy Taxi's coming back, right? Right, guys? All right. I got nothing more to say to that. It's just, what's going on with video games, guys? These video games are so silly. All right. Last one, as we round out our opening news segment, you guys. Speaking of EA games being stupid. No, I'm kidding. I'm actually pretty excited about this. Normally this would be kind of a passerby, just a little excerpt news story, but I got to stop and dwell on it for a second because I'm a little excited about this. I must admit. Now, EA announced this week a Battlefield 2042 crossover with Dead Space. You remember Dead Space, the IP that was super fucking awesome that EA threw in the trash because they said it wasn't making enough money. It was just making a good amount of money. And then they brought it back like a year ago, and then it did pretty well. And then they said, we're not making another one of those because it only made enough money and not as much money as we could possibly fit in our pockets. Yeah, that franchise. Well, the horror series will be featured in the multiplayer shooter via a limited time mode called Outbreak, which challenges players to hold off hordes of necromorphs before extracting from their environment. This just sounds like Battlefield doing Call of Duty Zombies Light. It'll be playable from July 19th to the 16th, which is dog shit that you're going to give me 1 week to play this thing. As part of Battlefield 2042's Season 7 Turning Point, which launched in March and will be the game's final season. In April, a pair of reports claimed that Dead Space as a franchise was on hold after sales of the most recent game failed to meet EA's expectations. Dead Space remake studio Motive was reportedly they at the time were keen on making another entry in the series, but were later forced to go help all the other teams and DICE and everyone with Battlefield support work. Basically, EA went up to Motive and said, hey, you know how Activision likes to take creative teams and say, no more fun games, you got to make Call of Duty DLC now? And Motive said, yeah, we've unfortunately heard about that. And they said, great, now you're going to stop making Dead Space and start making Battlefield 2 Nicki Minaj skins. Oh my God, she's in everything, dude. Ariana Grande, they're going to go, Call of Duty's got Nicki Minaj, so Battlefield's going to get Ariana Grande, and between the two games, the kids are going to have to buy every fucking military FPS in order to get all their favorite ex-Nickelodeon pop star the video game, right? The whole ass game. And that happened. And here we are. But that's not what I want to talk about. No, because that makes me want to have brain damage and die. But what I do want to talk to you about right now is this. I wanted to roll my eyes at this announcement. But I looked at the trailer and I was like, all right, a horde mode in Battlefield might be the thing to kind of bring me back to this game. Let me just check it out. It doesn't look groundbreaking or anything, but it looks fun. And as someone who's a little bit of a bitch and is just always looking for his next Call of Duty Zombies hit, this doesn't look like it's that, but it looks like something that a Call of Duty Zombies fan might be intrigued enough to want to give a try. So I want to play this. I want to see what this is all about. Plus, Dead Space is badass. It's the best horror game of all time. It's got a killer aesthetic. And although we're all tired of video game crossover events, this one just kind of, it's one of the less offensive ones. Now, I do want to just say this. I'm cautiously optimistic about this, not because I think the mode might be good or bad. And this is the big reason why I want to bring this up, is because reiterating the fact that EA doesn't think Dead Space makes enough money. And let's be fair about this. Dead Space games turn a profit. They make money. The problem is they make a respectable amount of money. It's like, the game has $100 million budget. The game grosses, makes like $300 million and whatever. They make a couple $100 million off the game, whatever. They don't want that. They want Call of Duty money. So unless they're getting like fuck you bucks off of a game, they don't want it. That is why all these 10-hour single player games that we used to get in the Xbox 360 generation, we don't get games like that anymore because publishers don't want a moderately successful game that took 5 years to develop and got a little more than double its budget back. They want a game that takes who gives a shit how long to make, and then ends up being a huge success, gets 100 million players, and is played for 35 to 72 years straight, and everyone buys all the skins and does all the concerts in the game. They just want Fortnite. Everyone just wants a Fortnite. And so what I'm worried about is, like, what if this mode is, like, really beloved, and then they use that as inspiration to make, like, a permanent Dead Space Horde mode in the next Battlefield game, the next main entry in the Battlefield series, and it becomes super popular the way, like, Call of Duty Zombies became popular, and then we have a situation where Dead Space, we never get a proper sequel to Dead Space, we just get a new Horde mode in every Battlefield game that is just called Dead Space, and that is how the franchise lives on. Kind of like how, I don't know, you're like a Titanfall fan, and then Titanfall turns into Apex Legends, and not that Apex Legends isn't good, it's a pretty good game, but if you're a Titanfall fan, you might be going, man, I wish they'd make a new Titanfall game, but EA goes, fuck you, that's what Apex Legends is for, and you go, no, that sucks ass. Well, I hope they're not trying to do something like that with Dead Space. They wouldn't do that, would they? EA, you wouldn't do that with two of your beloved friends. EA, I might even add, honestly, thinking about your video games over the past 15 years, Dead Space and Titanfall are probably the two best IP you own. Don't fuck this up. But this mode looks fun. I want to try it. All right. Acknowledging the problem, contributing to the problem, relaying the problem to the podcast. Check, check, check. All right. I think that's it. Guys, we're done with the opening news stories, the Crazy Taxi, the Dead Space, Activision games on Game Pass. What more could you want? Let's talk about the games I've been playing this week, and then we'll jump into the main news. So, yeah, games I've been playing. But before I do tell you about what game it is I've been playing this week, and boy, oh boy, is it a whole ass video game, I gotta first tell you about what it is I've been eating. I don't know if this one's come up on the podcast. If it has before, it has been a long ass time, but we gotta talk about a meal that is the most special meal to me, the Publix Sub. Now, again, context for those who may not be initiated, Publix is a big, popular grocery store chain that is originally from Lakeland, Florida, and has spread all throughout the southern United States. It's in a lot of places now. It goes as far north as, like, Virginia, I think. And I don't know how far west it goes. I don't know. Do they have Publix in, like, they don't have it in Louisiana or Mississippi, I don't think. So I think, yeah, Georgia, Tennessee is about as far as it goes. But anyway, it's kind of, Georgia, the Carolinas, Tennessee, Florida, Virginia. I think that's really where Publix is. I don't know if it's anywhere outside there. But if you live in any of those states, you know what Publix is. It's fucking huge. It's a big deal. Especially, and listen, I grew up in Georgia. Everyone loves Publix in Georgia. But you think everyone loves Publix in Georgia? Oh, wait till you move to Florida, man. It is, it's different. It's like in Georgia, everyone loves Publix and chooses to shop there because it's a great place to shop. In Florida, everyone shops at Publix because there's no other fucking grocery store around, because Publix is so fucking powerful and in the pockets of all the governors who've ever worked for this fucking godforsaken state, and they do everything in their power to lobby and make sure that no other major grocery chain is allowed to come to this fucking state, and they are the worst. It's kind of crazy. I used to love Publix. It was my first job. I worked there all throughout high school. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I always preferred shopping there over the other grocery chains we have. Publix is great, right? God, living here in Florida, I kind of fucking hate Publix. I kind of resent it. It's way more expensive here. They don't honor the same deals they have in other parts, other territories they operate in. You live in Florida long enough, you just retch sometimes. You just go, I yearn for a Kroger. Give me a fucking Ralph's. Give me a Kroger. Give me a goddamn Piggly Wiggly. I don't give a shit. Let me have something other than Publix. And y'all know Winn-Dixie doesn't count. Anyway, why did I start talking? Oh, yeah, subs. Okay. But the thing about Publix is, love them, hate them. One thing cannot be denied. Their deli is out of this fucking world. They have ungodly delicious fried chicken, and they have out of this world subs. Now, if you're listening to this podcast and you are from the northeastern United States, if you're from Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, whatever, let me warn you right now. Don't comment in about your hoagies, your heroes, your fucking your Italians, all the fucking things, the pastrami rise. Don't care about it. Don't care how Italian you are. Don't care how Italian Jewish you are. Don't care about what you can do with bread and cheese and meat. Keep it to your fucking self. This isn't Bagel Town, okay? We're talking about Publix. This is one of the prides and joys of the South, the biggest pride and joy of the South, and we're just gonna keep it at that. That's what we're talking about here. I contend that a Publix sub is the best sandwich in the world. Now, let me clarify one thing. Do not go to Publix and get a hot sandwich. And what I mean by that is, don't order a Philly cheesesteak. Don't order some fucking weird-ass tuna melt. Don't do that. You go to Publix to get an Italian, an ultimate, a turkey sandwich, a ham sandwich. You go in for like a classic sub, like a fucking Super Bowl Sunday sub. All right? You go to Publix, you're going to have the best sandwich of your life. It's so good. Don't go to Publix and say, let me get a Cubano. Fuck you, you're being an idiot. That's on you. It's not going to be the best sandwich you ever had. But I'm just talking about like a classic all-American turkey sandwich. Best turkey sandwich you're ever going to have in your fucking goddamn life. They have the boar's head meats, although I'm crazy and I prefer the Publix meats. You got the Publix mayo, the boar's head garlic pickles. Everything's good. The deli sauce. Best subs you'll ever have. And once a year, I'll go through a phase where I'm like, man, it's been a minute since I've had a Publix sub. And I'll go there and I'll get a Publix sub. And then I'll be like, that was so good, I'm going to eat this tomorrow. And then the next day I'll eat it. And I'll be like, that was so good, I'm going to eat this tomorrow. And the next day I'll eat it. And I'll be like, that was so good, I'm going to eat it again. And then eventually my girlfriend has to stop me and be like, you're not eating any more goddamn Publix subs. And that's how it ends. Every time. Every fucking time. And then, I'll have one here or there throughout the year. But then more or less in 12 months, it's going to happen again. Someone's going to click in my brain. I'm going to go, I need to eat 7 Publix subs this week right now. And it's going to happen. It's always a good time. Get the ultimate. It's amazing. It's got roast beef, ham, turkey. Get with the smoked Gouda, lettuce, tomato, onion, garlic pickles. Get some mayo on both sides or some deli sauce, something like that. Get a whole white. Oh, so fucking good, man. Even the Publix turkey, man. Try and be a little leaner. Get the red meat out of there. So good, man. Publix sub, nothing like it. So shout out to the subs over at Publix. Shout out to the fried chicken. My girlfriend and I also agree. There is no major quick service fast food style fried chicken place you can go and get better fried chicken than a Publix grocery store. That shouldn't make sense. That shouldn't be the case, but it absolutely is. And I'm saying that as someone who lives here in the South. So something's wrong. Something's amiss. Publix, shout out to you. All right. That's it for what I've been digesting as I sit here recording this podcast with like probably 37 inches of Publix sub in my tummy. But we go on. We press forward because that's what we do on the Xbox On podcasts. Continuing on with what I've been. That's what I was eating. Now it's what I've been playing. Atlas Fallen. You know it. I've been trying to get around to this game for about a year. This game came out about 11 months ago. I think it came out like last August, I want to say. I've been looking forward to, I don't know. Whenever it was first announced like a few years ago, I was like, hey, that game looks really cool. I'm going to play that game. And then it came out last year and kind of came out at a bad time where I was playing like 7 other games. I was like, I'll get to it later. And then around the holidays, it was on sale for $50. I was like, all right, I'm going to download this now and I'm going to play it later. I got like $20 to $5 Xbox gift card. It's on sale for $50. Let's do it. $25 all in. I'm getting this game. And then I downloaded it. And that was like right before I got sucked into Batman Arkham. And then I played like all the Batman Arkham games. And I just got distracted. And then whatever, Destiny came out recently. All these things. I just have not gotten around to this game. It's been sitting there, loaded up on my Xbox, ready to go. And this week I finally jumped in. And now I'm ready to talk about it. So first of all, I thought this game was way longer than it is. It's only about 10 hours. 10, 12 hours, something like that. So that's the first thing I love about this game. But for those who don't remember, this is Deck 13 developed it, published by Focus Entertainment, who are about to change their name to Pull Up Entertainment, which is a terrible name. But Focus Entertainment, who have been a pretty good publisher, really have an eye for some really good AA Euro kind of games. But developed by Deck 13. This is that, I think they're German, if I'm not mistaken. I forget where they're from. I think Germany. But they're the developer that makes The Surge, which is that like that mechanical post-apocalyptic wasteland style, like cyber futuristic Souls type series, The Surge 1 and 2. I don't care for those games. I tried them and I'm not a Souls guy, but I saw this game and I was like, this game is really appealing to me. So Atlas Fallen is an open world, third person action game that prioritizes unique movement, easy to pick up and play, but kind of layered and mildly complex action combat, and traversal inspired exploration and collecting. And this game oozes AA. Like, I talk about missing the AA kind of budgetier games, just more of like the 10-hour single player kind of fun stuff that we used to get a lot more like in the Xbox 360 years. This game is that to a T, for better and for worse. Now I will get the bad news out of the way. I don't think I like this game as much as I thought I was going to like this game, or as much as I assumed I would, but I do like it enough to definitely play it through to the end, and I definitely like it enough that I don't regret buying it, and I am glad I'm here to experience it, because I have such a deep-seated, like, just sadness and nostalgia for these style of games. And we need this kind of game so badly in a world where even Crazy Taxi's trying to become a fucking MMORPG, JRPG, or whatever the hell it's trying to do. And so I really appreciate it. It's open world in the most basic sense. Like, it is by 2023 standard, this game came out in 2023. By 2023 standards, this game's open world map is quaint. It's not, it's no fucking GTA Los Santos. I don't know. What's a game that's known for a huge open world? I don't know. What is it? Cyberpunk? What game is known for a huge open world? It's nothing to write home about. It's not huge by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, it's not a super linear level by level based game either. It is linear in its mission structure, but for the most part, I don't know. This game, I feel like I'm just rambling. Basically, this game's loop, once you kind of get going, you play as, like, I don't even know what it is. It's like fictional desert, kind of ancient like pseudo like alternate ancient advanced society that's like kind of like vaguely Egyptian inspired or something. And you play as like these guys who are essentially like enslaved to this like empire in the sky, and there was this ancient being and sentient being and race that lived long before, and they have since been destroyed by this evil, but like the powers live on in some kind of, I don't follow the story too well because the story's not very compelling. On paper it's kind of interesting, but in how it plays out in the game it's kind of boring. But more or less you're like this fucking nobody slave type dude, and you pick up this gauntlet that basically is like embodies the spirit of this ancient civilization that grants you these powers. Then you get this armor and you can basically like fucking surf through sandy mountains. Like the whole open world is like this deserty sandy terrain, and it's very elevated, and it's lots of hills and bumps and caverns and things like that, peaks and valleys and all that shit. And it's cool. You can kind of traverse the world by just kind of like gliding on the sand, and it feels like you're just kind of like snowboarding and careening around the open world. It's a very fun mechanic. And then on top of that, you can kind of zip around. You can do double jumps, air dashes, and kind of do stylized kind of movements. And then it has kind of this easy to pick up and play, but somewhat complex combat system where you get like these different like light and hard attacks, but you unlock all these different abilities and like buffs and things, and you can kind of customize your combat play style. And one issue I do have with this game is it feels like every fucking 20 minutes the game's like, whoa, let me stop you there. You just unlocked this thing. You just discovered this item. If you fuse it with this item, you can buff your damage by 4%. And I'm like, fuck off. I don't want to play. I wish the game was a little more just like, here are the attack moves. Here's the combat. Go nuts. There's no leveling up. There's no customizing. There's no, outside of like weapon variety, I don't really want it to be more complex beyond that. But in terms of the attack abilities and like learning how to use these special abilities on these types of enemies, and these shields work against this enemy, and if you do this at the right time, it will freeze this enemy, and then you can attack them, and you can air dash this, and if you hit a guy in the air, it gives you an extra air dash. You can stay in the air and attack all the winged creatures. So like there's like some kind of like learning curve to the combat, but you pick up on it pretty quick, and it's pretty easy. The bigger issue with it is just that there's so much of it, it's a little overwhelming, and the game doesn't do a very elegant job of teaching you all of that. It's just kind of like constantly inundating you with more shit. But once you get the hang of it, which takes about maybe 45 minutes to get through some of that opening stuff, tutorial stuff, all the initial dog shit of like, here's this is what this means, here's how to read your HUD, here's what this bar means, to regenerate your health, you want to do this. Like, it's got a lot of unique mechanics for everything from stamina to health to defense abilities to attack combos, all that shit. But once you get used to it, it just feels like a hack and slash kind of like third-person action game with moderately satisfying combat. But I love it because a lot of the game, like the mission design, while it's nothing to write home about, it's a lot of like oh, you need to reveal this stone and then sharpen your armor, but first you got to find these 3 stone fragments scattered across the world, and then you mark the locations on your map and whatever. It's very like simple, it's very straightforward, it's very repetitive and redundant in a way, but it's a lot of fun. It's that kind of like mundane. I've played games like this before, I've seen this done, that kind of thing, but it's like kind of just comfort food. Like you're just exploring the open world. Okay, there's a shard I need to collect out in the distance, but you had to do some kind of platforming obstacle to get to it. So if you like Sonic games, it kind of scratches that itch a little bit, where it's like, okay, so what am I going to do? Okay, well, I'm going to raise this platform out of the ground with my abilities, and that will allow me to jump up here, so then I can jump up to that platform. And if I jump on that platform and I look out to the horizon, I can double jump and air dash across this gap and land on that platform in the distance. Then I can raise the platform that's up there, and it will get me up to where that shard is, and then I collect it. And so it's like a little bit of very, very light puzzle solving / traversal, like platforming, that really just encourages you to master the air dashes, the jumps, the gliding, all the different abilities. And that's a lot of fun. I really like that shit. So it's just a game that makes fun out of its basic mechanics. It's movement and it's combat. That's what I love about Spider-Man video games. That's what I love about Sunset Overdrive and other various Insomniac style games. That's some of my favorite games work that way. It's just all about the movement. I mean, that's why I love 3D character platformers so much. That's why I love Sonic and Mario so much. It's not like, oh, did you know if you go into the menus, you can read your stats and then you can go in here and talk to this character? Fuck that. I want a game that's just like, hey, here's a jump button, here's a dive button, here's a run button. Master these fucking buttons and you can do crazy obstacles and it'll be a lot of fun. Also, here's enemies. Press this button to beat the shit out of them, or press that button to shoot them in the face. And like, to me, it's like if a video game does stuff like that, I'm like, woo, this is great shit, man. This is that's all I could ever ask for in a video game. So this game has that in spades. And from that perspective, it's not particularly groundbreaking with the combat, although it does, props for all the things it tries to do. It's very unique and creative. I like the gliding on sand mechanic. It's really fun, unique. I like the traversal. It's fun. The world's kind of garish, sad, empty. It's just a bunch of desert, just a bunch of sand with not much to see. The graphics are painfully last generation. And I say all of that to say I'm really enjoying this game. I'm about like 4 hours in. It's like an 11-hour game, and I'm really enjoying it so far. I confidently, firmly see myself playing it through to the end. I'm having a good time with it, and while the story is nothing to write home about, and the world is not the most captivating game or world I've ever been in, and while the gameplay is not blowing my brains with these innovations, it is a game that is just so comforting and fun to play as a fan of the medium and as someone who just wants to sometimes enjoy a game that was clearly made by people who are deeply inspired by a lot of other games and just want to leave their mark by making something fun, unique, that is deeply inspired and obviously so from some other older games. And from that perspective, I really, really love this game. Not like in a, oh my God, this is my game of the year kind of game. Like it's nothing, it really is nothing special. This is a game I would recommend to most people. $20 or Game Pass, give it a go. But it's a little unfortunate that this game kind of got swept under the rug and completely ignored when it came out, because I do think this is kind of the style of game that we need to see more of, because although there are a lot of modern games that are graphically way prettier than this game and that are mechanically trying to be way deeper than this game, the Souls games have way more deep and satisfying combat, and every game is an open world game that is way more vast and beautiful than this game, and every game these days has the most insane hyper-realistic graphics you've ever seen. They'll blow your fucking mind. Just look at the graphics of the fruit, Despite all that, it's like, I think that's what's like that's what's broken about video games, is that everything is trying to be the most expansive open world, the most mechanically intricate, the most visually stunning. And it's like, this is why games take 8 years to make and are always disappointing when they come out and broken on day one, and the developers get fired after the game fails to sell 8.9 trillion goddamn copies, because we're so averse to having a game that's just like, yeah, this game costs like $80 million to make. It will take you about 12 to 20 hours to beat, depending on how much you want to explore it. It's fun. It's pretty straightforward, and it's a game you'll probably beat in like a week or two, and then you'll move on with your life and go, well, that was fun. And I just miss games like this. The graphics are nothing to write home about. But the other week we were talking about, and I want to make this, I want to make a point to say this. talking about how one of the big ways developers and publishers need to come to terms with how to cut costs in game development and get games out the door sooner is to stop obsessing over this fucking idea that every game has to be the most beautiful game you've ever seen. And I know that's hard because the way you market a game is by what you see, and graphical fidelity and presentation is everything. That's how you get people to go, oh, what's that game? Is by having a pretty interesting world with stunning graphics. But if more of the world could stop being so goddamn vain and just accept the fact that a game doesn't have to be the most groundbreaking graphical showcase in order to be a good game, we could accept games with this kind of graphical style and this kind of fidelity, and we could get games in like 3 to 5 years maybe, and they wouldn't have to cost $300 million, and we wouldn't have to fire 98% of the people who worked on the game because the game has impossible sales expectations as a result of its prolonged game development timeline and everything. So I don't know. This game is nothing super special, but you know what else is nothing super special? Half the dog shit that gets released today. I'm not trying to say games are worse than they've ever been or anything, or that everything that comes out today is bad, but I think modern game, I don't know, there's something entirely broken with modern gaming, and I think there's a lot of gaming fans and game developers out there who have this weird brain rot issue where they just think like bigger is better, prettier is better, more mechanically savvy is better, like more emphasis on grueling, hardcore combat. It's like, we gotta stop with all that shit. There is room in this world for a game that looks all right, for a game that has pretty fucking fun combat, albeit somewhat, reminiscent of things we've seen in the past, of just, I don't know. The game's quirky. It's weird. One thing you can't say about it is from a narrative perspective, from a storytelling perspective, it's not super derivative. It tries to be unique in what it is. And I think its setting paired with its story is pretty unique and different. And just overall, I like this game. It's a solid, 6.5 out of 10. It's somewhere between okay and good. And I just wish we had sometimes more games like this. The more that the world turns to like everyone is a self-appointed pundit, and I know that's hypocritical saying that on my Xbox podcast that I started and run by myself, but in a world where everyone is an expert on everything and every fan knows how to make it better than every creator, and everyone's got an idea of, well, this is why old Star Wars was so good, and this is why, even people like me, like, this is why Back 4 Blood sucks and Left 4 Dead's amazing. It's like, in a world where everyone's the fucking expert, I feel like we need to humble everyone, from creators to publishers to the big business owners to the consumers and players of these games. And people just need to be like, hey, it's totally okay for something to be, I don't know, what's the word? It's like for something to just be weekend fodder, for something to just be like good, cheesy, rompy, just nonsensical stuff. It's like the older I get, the less I appreciate like high art films, and the more I appreciate like dog shit like Transformers movies, because it's just like, dude, what's fun is eating popcorn and watching robots smash into each other, And sometimes I'm just like, I kind of wish video games could just be like, hey, what's fun is a game where you can surf on sand and platform on obstacles and mash buttons to destroy monsters in the desert. Like, that's cool. I'll pay. I paid $50 technically for this game. I used a gift card and $25, and I'd do it again. I don't regret the money I spent. I think $50 for me and for my gaming taste, I recommend the game as a Game Pass or a $20 game for most people, because I know most people don't want this. They want, I don't know what they want. They don't want Hellblade. I almost said Hellblade. They want Starfield. They want The Last of Us. They want God of War. They want, Indiana Jones. And there's nothing wrong with any of those games, but isn't there room for this as well? So I don't know. I'll leave it. I'll get off my soapbox now. I'll probably beat the game by the next time we join hands. Next week, because I do plan on basically spending my whole 4th of July just sitting on the couch playing this game after I mow the lawn. That's the plan, and looking forward to it, man. So shout out to Atlas Fallen. You are nothing to write home about, and that is why I love you. You're just such a breath of fresh air. Hey English. Maybe someday I'll learn how to speak you. Oh, one last thing as an Xbox note. This game feels like this generation's version of ReCore. And I know the common consensus is ReCore is stupid. We're supposed to hate ReCore. Spoiler alert for you. ReCore is nothing fancy, but it is entirely fine. ReCore is a very solid 6 out of 10, and I very much enjoyed the 20 hours I spent playing that game. So This game kind of has ReCore energy a lot. It's very fun. It's a little unique, rough around the edges, not that great, but really cool for what it was. So, all right. Let's take a quick break here and head on into the main news, you sexy motherfuckers, you. All right, now time to get into the news. Would you be surprised? It's still that midsummer post E3 lull in the news cycle, so not too much to talk about this week, but our first one here is I hesitate to call it a big one. It's kind of notable. I mean, it's something we all knew was coming, but still a big turning point, I guess, for Xbox. Or part of a big turning point for Xbox. Anyway, let's just get into it. Xbox and Amazon teaming up to bring Xbox Game Pass Ultimate streaming to Amazon Fire TV devices. All right, here's the write-up from VGC. As announced on the official Xbox Wire blog post, Xbox Game Pass Ultimate members in over 25 countries will soon be able to download an Xbox app on Fire TV Sticks 4K and Fire TV Stick 4K Max devices. I don't know what that means. Players will with either of these devices and a Bluetooth-enabled wireless controller will be able to access the Xbox streaming library through the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate membership. Players will have to install and launch the Xbox app from their Fire TV device, sign in with their Microsoft account, sign up for Game Pass Ultimate if they don't already have an account, and connect their controller in order to play. Xbox notes that Bluetooth controllers required don't have to be an official Xbox controller, but players who have a PlayStation DualSense or DualShock 4 will be able to use that instead. So there you go. Go play Halo Infinite with a DualSense. In theory, this means that people with a compatible controller at fast enough internet access, will be able to play these Series S and X games for the price of a Fire Stick, which is $50 US. And a Game Pass Ultimate subscription, of course, rather than just purchasing an Xbox Series S or X outright. Quote, over the past several years, we've been on a journey to deliver cloud gaming to more devices and more people around the globe, said Xbox Corporate VP of Xbox Experiences and Platform Engineering, Ashley McKissick. Continuing on, quote, we are excited to add Fire TV to our growing family of console or cloud gaming devices and eager to welcome new players to the experience. Of course, Samsung smart TVs, modern Samsung smart TVs are already on that list, in addition to, of course, various gaming handhelds like my Logitech G Cloud, and then tablets, PCs, etc. So, yeah, man, it's happening. I mean, we talked about this one for a while. This is kind of somewhat timely in that we just talked about the other week the Xbox Keystone project or whatever it was, the one that was like a little cloud streaming box that they were trying to retail for like $80 or $100, where it'd come with a controller, a little box, and then you plug it up to your TV, and it'd be your little Xbox streaming stick, so to speak. So this is kind of that living on in spirit in a way, but it's just weird to me because the more and more these things happen, the more I'm like, wow, they really are serious about just putting Xbox anywhere. So it's weird. It's cool to me when it's like, oh, Xbox is coming, like you can like stream Xbox to like your handheld devices and your tablets and your PCs. I'm like, that's kind of cool. But there's something about it where it's like, oh, now your Amazon Fire Stick can do it. Oh, now your Samsung TV can do it. Oh, they probably want to get this on PlayStations and stuff. It just becomes, I don't know why, to me that's a weird next barrier to overcome. But I mean, here we are. And here's the thing is, you want to get this out as fast as possible, because you want these Samsung Smart TV owners and these Amazon Fire. And Amazon Fire, it means you buy the stick that you plug into your TV to make it a smart TV, or it means you have an Amazon Fire TV. So like any of those Amazon branded TVs you buy have the Amazon Fire stuff preloaded onto it, so it's already a smart TV out of the box. So any one of those devices, like, you want to have all this stuff set up. You want to have people familiar with the existence of this and have them know that this is an option, so that come October when Black Ops 6 comes out, you have not just Game Pass subscribers from Xbox consoles and PC who are able to get in on this, but you have people with Amazon Fire TVs that you can now, smart TVs that are littered with ads, throw them some fucking Call of Duty Black Ops 6 ads on their smart TV when they turn it on and be like, hey, Black Ops 6, play it straight from your Amazon Fire TV through Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. And, just be able to penetrate that market a little more. This is a great way to try and entice more people to give Xbox Game Pass a try and to grow the subscriber count. That's what this is all about. It's about positioning Game Pass to be in a situation where the maximum number of people are enticed to subscribe when something huge like Call of Duty Black Ops 6 comes to the service. And, I mean, yeah, this is definitely a place you want to be. I mean, I think you also want to try to get on LG TVs. You want to try to get on I don't know what else is out there. Apple TV, whatever. But yeah, I mean, this is a huge step in that direction. So I think ultimately the plan is to try and get Xbox on everything. I think they want to get this on Switch 2, PS5, all these devices. It's just a matter of finding the partners willing to work with them. But the thing is, once they have smart TVs, it's like, what else really is there? Well, let's talk about that, because our part 2 story here is kind of more of that. Next up, VGC says an unfamiliar Xbox dashboard has been spotted in a Top Gear video for an upcoming driverless taxi. The dashboard appears for a couple of seconds in the video published last week, which offers a first look at a new robo-taxi being created by Verne, a consortium part led by Bugatti CEO Matt Rimac. The two-seater, which will include a 43-inch screen, aims to emulate the feeling of you having or being in your living room, according to Verne. It's unclear if Xbox's dashboard shown in the video offers a first look at an upcoming release, or if it was just created as a prototype for the vehicle for demonstration purposes. So if you haven't seen this video or this little excerpt, it's crazy. So it's got this big Tesla-style tablet display on the automated self-driving robo-taxi thing. And the thing that's so crazy about it is it's like maybe 3 seconds. The Xbox logo kicks on, it boots up, and then it shows like what looks like a fucking mobile store. I mean, this looks like the Samsung App Store or Google Play or some kind of Apple App Store. It looks like that kind of shit where it's like you open it up, it's like Xbox, and then it's like play the finals, play Halo Infinite, play Fortnite, and it shows like DLC, popular games they're playing, what's going on, new events, and it looks like some kind of Blades-like update, some like kind of modernized, bastardized version of Xbox 360 Blades meets like a mobile app store, and it's on a car. And when I look at this, I don't think, oh, this is what the Xbox dashboard's probably going to look like soon. That's what they're teasing here. I look at this, I'm like, no, this is a new interface designed for Xbox for like when you're on a streaming device, like a Fire TV or a Samsung TV or a Tesla car or a self-driving Uber taxi type deal, or, you know, God forbid, what else? Something that's not a traditional Xbox piece of hardware. And that's what it looks like. It looks like a dashboard, a display that is designed for tablets and cars and TVs, with the way its menu is laid out. It's very simple. It's very big. It's very basic. And it's also very ugly and modern. And it looks like it's just a way of basically saying, like, hey, gamer, try Fortnite. Try this generic game. And I do wonder if they're working on some kind of specialized alternate dashboard or a little hub or OS experience for this more casual audience they're going after that is on iPhones and Android tablets and cars and smart TVs and things like that. Man, I mean, the other thing is, like, could this be some kind of rudimentary dashboard similar to the one we will see when Xbox reveals and releases in the next 12 to 18 months an Xbox handheld device? Because this very much looks like an interface that would be right at home on some kind of Steam Deck type of handheld hardware. So that could be what we're seeing here. Maybe it is just a prototype. Maybe it's just some like rough idea for the sake of this futuristic car. But these things don't happen for no reason. Xbox wouldn't come up with some mock dashboard just for the sake of nothing. Like they want to be, you know, Phil Spencer talks about traveling throughout Africa and being on those like public buses where they have like the TVs behind every seat, and you can like pay money to watch an ad or watch a TV show, but there's ads or something like that, and talking about how like Xbox needs to be everywhere, and thinking about that in relation to cloud streaming and how they want to be more ubiquitous with how they get this content to people. It's like, this is the kind of thing they want to be in taxis. They want to be in Ubers. They want to be in self-driving cars and electric cars and smart TVs and tablets and all these kinds of devices and places. They want to be in airports. They want to be in public trains and all that shit. So this is a dashboard that looks like it is designed to make Xbox an interface that is appealing to not just gamers, but also businessmen traveling and young child at the Chili's restaurant with mom and dad who needs to be distracted by the Zeusk tablet on the table and various things like that. Like, this looks like the kind of dashboard interface that just apes what we're used to seeing on everything, whether it's Netflix or the Apple App Store or whatever. It's kind of soulless, it's kind of logical and simplistic, but also kind of loud and too busy looking, and it's familiar. It looks like something you've navigated before, and I think that's kind of the idea, is to be like, hey, normies, come give Xbox a try. And yeah, man, I mean, I think we're going to see this stuff really start to come together and play out in a major way in the next year. Whether or not this kind of dashboard makes its way into the next generation of Xbox that's supposed to come out next year, because we heard Xbox kind of lament, some of the executives lament. They're like, yeah, maybe we should have done more with the Xbox dashboard with the Series X instead of keeping it so samey, and maybe we should have done more with the controller like Sony did with the DualSense. And I think that might be what this is. Remember, Xbox is working on an app store. You know, they're trying to get a Microsoft gaming Xbox app store on Android and iOS, separate from the Google Play Store, separate from the Apple App Store. And so this could be some kind of riff off of what that interface looks like. And from that perspective, it's like, yeah, this is going to be the ubiquitous UI for Xbox probably going forward. Maybe the consoles will have their own more hardcore, dedicated gaming-like dashboard, but I think for mostly everything, this is probably what they're going to go for. Is something to this effect. This probably isn't a finalized version, but this gives you an idea. I mean, you look at this and you immediately feel like you just pulled up the Google Play Store and the Epic Games Store and the fucking HBO Max app all at the exact same time, and you put them all side by side, and you can't tell which one's which because everything looks like this nowadays. So I don't know, man. We're gonna see a lot of things change with Xbox pretty soon the next year. It's gonna be exciting because I think the next year of Xbox has the potential to be this really, really satisfying, confusing, frustrating, different new time for Xbox, where so many good games are going to come out, I feel like, between Black Ops 6 and Indiana Jones and Avowed and all the games for next year and Fable and everything. And then in addition to that, we're also going to learn about the next generation of Xbox. One of these devices will probably be a handheld, so an Xbox handheld. Plus, we're going to get to learn kind of how the world responds to Call of Duty on Game Pass, what that does for subscription numbers. This Xbox App Store should be on mobile devices by then, and so we'll get to see like what it's like when Xbox has tons of great first-party content coming out on a consistent basis. There are, Game Pass as a streaming platform is available everywhere and anywhere. Xbox has a handheld on the horizon as well as a new hardware box, and in addition to that, they're putting their games on PlayStation slowly but surely, kind of quickly actually, and it'll just be kind of crazy to be a year removed from now when all of those coals are in the fire, or rather the people are starting to see those machinations come to being, and rather than us just talking about how there will be a handheld and there will be another generation of Xbox hardware and we will see more games come to PlayStation. Xbox has a bunch of games that are on the horizon that look promising, but they're not out quite yet. It's like once we're there, things are going to look really different. So this is a little bit of foreshadowing, I guess. But let me know what you guys think about that. I don't know. It's just we're getting further and further away. It's like Xbox as a brand, I guess it persists, but everything we knew about Xbox has changed, and that's the weird thing. We're human, man. We don't like change. I don't like change. I don't know. But that's really it for this week, guys. It's a slow news week. I'm not messing with you. We do have a little wrap up story here about Game Pass though. Games coming and leaving the service. So here's that early month update for Game Pass. So coming soon, we got the following games entering the service. Actually, some of these are already out now. Some of them are returning games that have been in Game Pass that are just now coming back. First one is Journey to a Savage Planet. Welcome back on Cloud Console and PC now, as well as Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2. Cricket 24 comes out on July 9th to Game Pass, Cloud Console, and PC, as well as The Case of Golden Idol. On July 11th, you get Neon White and Tachia, which Tachia, I keep seeing ads for that. I don't know what that is. But Neon White was a very popular game when that came out 2 years ago. I never played it. I'm not really sure what it is. I just know it got a lot of play, and Donkey made a video on it, and people liked it. It reviewed well. Magical Delicacy comes to Cloud Console and PC on July 16th. That is a Day 1 Game Pass game, as well as Flock, another Day 1 Game Pass game on July 16th, Cloud Console and PC. So those are your big games coming to at Game Pass this month. Usually around the 15th or 16th, we get another little drop of some new games, but for now, that's it. And then leaving the platform on July 15th, Coffee Talk Episode 2, Hibiscus and Butterfly. I forgot the game even came out. That is leaving Game Pass, as well as Figment 2, Creed Valley, Sins of a Solar Empire, Toem, and The Wandering Village. So play them now before they're all gone on July 15th. Guys, that's going to do for all of our news this week, except for the important enough news stories. Stories important enough to make the podcast, but not important enough to warrant their own discussions. We got like 4 or something of them here. So we'll start rattling them off, beginning with, unfortunately, the layoffs of the week. All right, so VGC relays that 33 developers have said to be been laid off at Ubisoft Toronto, one of the studios being behind the upcoming Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. Weird time to lay people off in the middle of development. Last month, Ubisoft claimed excellent progress on the game. Ubisoft Toronto is the studio behind Far Cry 5, 6, Watch Dogs Legion, and the upcoming Splinter Cell remake. So that's weird that you're doing that in the middle of development. And of course, everything goes out to the team. Next up, Darkest Dungeon 2 will be released on Xbox consoles this month, said Red Hook Studio, developer and publisher. Following its full PC release last year and well-received turn-based RPG will now hit Xbox One and Series consoles on July 15th. Red Hook confirmed a PlayStation release and plans for the game back in April for PlayStation in June for Switch, but now Xbox comes out a month after that. The game is available for pre-order now in the Microsoft Store for $40 US with a 15% launch discount. Next up, EA will delist 3 classic Battlefield games on the 360 this month. I don't know what that really means since the 360 store is going offline, but Battlefield 3, 4, and Hardline are all being delisted, and all their related DLC will no longer be available. Now, it is important to note that Battlefield 3 and 4, of course, are still being available for purchase on PC, and Battlefield Hardline will still be available on PC and Xbox, so it's not entirely lost. Oh, Battlefield 4 will also still be on Xbox One. So it's not entirely like they're lost on Xbox, or at least Battlefield 4 and Hardline, but still, with the Xbox 360 store shutting down, yeah, these games are being delisted. You'll remember last year, Bad Company 1 and 2 and Battlefield 1943 all got delisted as well. Oh, and online servers were shut down in December. Man, I missed Battlefield 1943. And finally, Ubisoft has confirmed that production's begun on Watch Dogs the movie. Featuring an original story, the film will co-star Sophie Wilde and Tom Blythe, and will be directed by French genre director Mathieu Thierry. So, it's weird that I can't pronounce English words today, but I nailed the French stuff. That is going to do it for all of our news this week. You guys, we talked a lot about Xbox. We talked a lot about, I don't know, America, Atlas Fallen, Publix Subs. Now, let's save the best for last. We get down to the bottom of the episode, the comments, the shout-outs, the write-ins from YouTube.com. Go to YouTube.com, click on the Xbox On podcast, click on the latest episode of the podcast, so help me God if you click on any other episode. Leave a comment, say anything nice, anything mean, anything in between. You know I'm going to read it. You know I'm going to shout you out and tell you to have a great week. But 6 of you motherfuckers wrote in this week. Well, 5 of you, some of you multiple times. And we start out this week with Courtney Puddle, who says the following. Xbox should refine the PlayStation Vita look. Just give Xbox a makeover. Black, white. Make it just a little bigger. Front-facing speakers. The ability to remote play, cloud play, owned library, digital games. Don't need OLED. Just give us a real good, trusted IPS. Hall effect sticks. Slap a $300 to $400 price tag on that puppy. I don't know. I'd buy it. Courtney Puddle, I would also buy that in a heartbeat, but I think there's no way this device would be like that form factor of the PS Vita. I think the PS Vita is absolutely too small and ancient in design compared to the handhelds we see today. I'm sorry. Everything changed with the Switch, buddy. You know, we're going to get that Steam Deck, Nintendo Switch kind of look for this device. No doubt about it. It's got to be at least that size. Now, would I take something that is like 20, something in between the size of like a Nintendo Switch and a PlayStation Vita? Yeah, I'd be down with that. I actually like that quite a bit. That seems like it's more manageable for adult hands than a PlayStation Vita, but also a lot more portable than like a Switch or a Steam Deck. So I'm down for that, but I think you're gonna get something the form factor of like an ROG Ally or a Steam Deck or something like that. So just be prepared for that. Also, Phil Spencer was talking about running games natively on it, so it's going to have to be a little chunky. I don't think it'll be as thin and slim as like a Vita or a Switch. I think it's going to have to be a little chunky, a little heavy, got some built-in loud-ass fans or something like that maybe. So just something to keep in mind. I don't know. They do have the Surface team working on Xbox hardware these days, so I don't know. Maybe they'll make something that is a little more bespoke and refined looking because, I mean, Surface hardware is like the sexiest consumer tech on the market. So maybe we get something a little nicer. But, man, I mean, listen, I love the Vita. I think the Vita as a form factor is so good in the hands. I still love holding a PlayStation Vita. It just makes me wish there were games worth playing on it left over for me. But yeah, man, I don't know that they'd go with something like that. But I'm very excited to see what it looks like. I want to see, like to have something proprietary. The thing is, like, I love my Logitech G Cloud. But every time I turn it on, I'm reminded this is not an Xbox. I'm playing Xbox games on this, but this is not an Xbox. I'm ready to have that experience, but for the hardware to feel authentically Xbox and to go with all the stuff I play on it. So I'm day one on that Xbox handheld, man. Like if these things come out at the same time, the next gen Series X type console along with the handheld, I'll be there day one for both of these things, man. I want it all. Give me a bunch of new Xbox tech. I am so excited about it. So, Corny Puddle, thank you for writing in. Have a great week. HD Hobbs follows up and says, heard you mentioning Jet Set Radio on the podcast. Wasn't sure if you'd play Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Spiritual successor to Jet Set. Bought it on my Steam Deck last year. It's so good. Definitely worth checking out. Have a great week. Yes, HD Hobbs, I'm very familiar with this game's existence. I have not played it yet. No. I do have it saved in my wish list. I'll plan on getting around to it. I know a lot of Jet Set Radio people worked on it, including the composer, so it has very similar music. It's got a very similar aesthetic, but it also has like skating and skateboarding and bike riding in it, as in addition to inline skates. And so I know it's basically just like modernized What If Jet Set Radio 3 essentially. But I don't know, man. There's something about it where it's like, it's kind of like the Banjo-Kazooie ukulele thing, where it's like, I like ukulele. I kickstarted it. I played it. It's fine. But it's like, this is one of those things where it's like the IP matters just as much as the art style, the gameplay style, and all that, where it's like, trust me, I will gladly take a game that is like Jet Grind Radio or Jet Set Radio in 2023, 2024. But what I really want is Jet Grind Radio. You know, it's like ukulele. I'll take ukulele, but I want Banjo-Kazooie. You know, so it's kind of like that, where it's like, I appreciate that it exists, but I guess it's something to the effect of, especially like in the early to mid 2010s, I feel like we got a lot more of this. Maybe like 2013 to 2017, I feel like was the time where there was just so many of these. It was like we got those Bloodstained games that were just Castlevania, but the original creator basically made a new one without the IP. We got, what was that Mega Man one? Mighty Number 9. We got Ukulele. So, you know, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is very much that for Jet Grind Radio, which I appreciate. Appreciate it having that over nothing at all. But at the end of the day, I want Jet Grind Radio. Politely, if I may. So, I will play this game one day. It's one of those, like, I'll probably get on sale kind of things. But give me a new Jet Grind Radio today, I'll buy that shit full stop. And I know that's, like, kind of hypocritical for some reasons, but I don't know. It's just Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. Like, when it came out, I was very appreciative that it existed. I was following along with the news as it was being developed, but it just wasn't something I felt super compelled to stop everything and play when it came out, because it's a facsimile of the thing I want, not the thing I want. All right, Cronky comes in next and says, I played some of the new Destiny expansion. I once again cannot help but feel how inferior it is to a real first-person shooter. In every battle, I think, is it balanced? Should I have a weapon with a higher light level? Is my light level too high? Is this supposed to play like this? My god, I hate these freaking MMO light games. Live service is the only okay when it's like Fortnite, a one-off single match where you can, and then a complete reset. I'm glad you really like the game, but man, things like Destiny and Fallout 76 make me dream of a world where I can just play a new normal Fallout or Halo game or something like that. Cronky, I understand where you're coming from, but this argument makes less sense than ever before, because for the past handful of expansions, Destiny has been an experience of like, you log in, you boot up the new expansion, and it immediately goes, all right, your light level's caught up. You're exactly where you need to be to play this DLC. So light level, to some extent, doesn't even fucking matter unless you're planning on playing the game post the campaign content. If you're trying to play the game beyond that, if you're trying to get into Crucible and grind special loot and do special seasonal events, your light level matters then. But if you're just trying to hop in when the new expansion comes out and just play the story missions and bounce out, you don't need to worry about your light level at all, because they put you exactly where you need to be. So however the game feels right now, is as someone who hasn't played in a while, who just logged in, started up the final shape, and your light level was 900 or whatever it is now, you are exactly where you need to be. So yeah, the game's playing exactly as it should. But I do understand the concern. This used to be an issue more in the earlier days of Destiny, and it could be frustrating. I remember back in the days, it was like, oh, guys, Rise of Iron's coming out. Make sure you start leveling up your light and get ready so that you're in the right place when the DLC comes out. They don't do that anymore. Now they just kind of boost you to where you need to be. It's all inflated and artificial and nonsense at this point, but I get it. But at the same time, Destiny's pretty fucking great. Appreciate it for what it is. It's pretty fucking great. Just saying. Mike Clark comes in with a long one, but a good one. That's right. I'm talking about his penis. He says, Xbox on. Tune in for a mind-bending journey through Xbox, diet tips, and everything in between. Jesse, recognizing that you're quite busy and may not have the chance to experience Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Edition, I'd like to extend my support. I've acquired the game for PC and would like to provide a brief review from the community in case it piques their interest. It's a gesture I'm delighted to make, so no thank you required. The 20th Anniversary Edition of Beyond Good and Evil has matured like a legendary wine in the cellar of classic gaming, achieving pixel perfection that would make even Mona Lisa jealous. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's merely another Souls-like game. Isn't merely another Souls-like game, nor does it demand an MIT degree in order to grasp a complex crafting system. It's simply a game, and a damn good one at that. The downfall of Tango. Okay, so that's your review of it. You know, from that perspective, man, gotta give you props because I do rag on everything modern for the Souls-like shit. So fair point, and I'm glad you like it. I'm glad it's out there and it's servicing people like you quite well. But respectfully, I gotta go play Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy on Game Pass. Next up, the downfall of Tango was simply another instance of Xbox's typical behavior. Perhaps in a few years, they will produce a video for YouTube that documents their regret over repeatedly making the same poor decisions. I like it. Just like the 20. Yes, absolutely. Oh man, if there's one thing I could take back in my career, it'd probably be shutting down Tango right after they released the only game that we were ever proud of them for making. Anyway, you said diet, a major game changer in my journey to healthier eating, was a shift in my food mindset and a rather blunt warning from my doctor about the potential for losing bits and pieces if I didn't shape up. I began to view food solely as fuel, not as a source of enjoyment or emotional satisfaction. No other mammal exhibits our complex behaviors towards food. Thanks once more for a fantastic show and have a great week ahead. Man, for a podcast that has a what I've been eating segment, that couldn't even be any more out of touch with the spirit of this show, Mr. Mike Clark. But you're absolutely right. Food is fuel first and foremost. But listen, you hear me talk about Disney. You hear me talk about video games of yesteryear. I'm all about the arts, man. For me, it's all about the passion and the creativity that goes into it. And I feel much the same way about food that I feel about my theme park rides and my video games. It can be something more mechanical. It can be something more soulless. It can be something more focus tested and made to extract the most value or the most engagement possible. But at its core, what food should be, much like video games and much like good music and much like a good theme park ride, is a creative outlet, an artistic expression, something that shows true passion, creativity, and ingenuity. And when I think about food, I can't just be like brown rice, tuna, spinach, fuel, nutrition, done. Because I can't stop thinking about the passionate artists like Gordon Ramsay and Wolfgang Puck and Guy Fieri who sit in the kitchen and spend endless hours toiling away thinking about what kinds of combinations of foods go together and what kind of cooking methods can we use to make the chicken even tastier. And so when I realized that those kinds of people exist, that Chef Gusteau put his whole heart into his novel, his biography, Anyone Can Cook, it reminds me that food is not just about nutrients. It is about creating who you are. Expressing who you are creatively and taking your passion for something and presenting it to the world in a new and creative way. And so do you want Fortnite? Do you want spinach and brown rice, the Fortnite of food? Or do you want Gordon Ramsay's famous beef Wellington, which is like Sonic Unleashed for the Xbox 360? I understand one's good for your health, but I know the other one's good for your soul. So thank you. Please, kindly, Mike Clark. No, but I do appreciate much like Count Skylar last week. I really do appreciate those of you writing in with your stories and your anecdotes about diet, your views on food and all that, because it is important to send a positive message, and we got to take care of ourselves. We got to be healthy. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you for writing in. As always, Mike Clark, you are greatly appreciated. Your comments are a highlight of this podcast for me as someone who gets to read them and react to them. So hope you have a great week. Hope you have a great 4th of July. And remember, if you're going to eat fruits and veggies, don't wash them first. The FDA says you don't have to, and the FDA has your best interests at heart. So you're good. Just go ahead. Bite into that apple. Don't rinse it under the sink. You're wasting water. Yep. That's not true. Please, for the love of God, wash your fruit. Guys, Cronky's back and he says, eating healthy is so hard. You try to make good decisions and then you realize the peanuts that you were snacking on have more calories than a Big Mac. Story of my fucking life. But here's the thing is, oh, neighbor's doing fireworks already. Here's the thing is, that is so fucking true. But when I was dieting a few years ago and all I cared about was calories, that shit bothered me so much. But now that my diet is more about just trying to reduce fat, trying to get healthy fats instead of saturated fats in my diet, trying to reduce sugar, trying to eat, get fiber and various vitamins in my system more and more. I focus less on the calories, and I'm happy to eat, some peanuts or some pistachios and almonds. Those are my nuts of choice, but I'm happy to get these kinds of things in my system and focus more on the nutrients and less on the calories, because the portion control is something that just kind of comes into play the more you're focused on the healthy eating. But if all you care about is the calories, yeah, it's frustrating as hell when you're like, wow, I could have a handful of peanuts or I could just eat a fucking scoop of ice cream. What the hell are we doing here? But yes, it can be very hard. I totally agree. And lastly, our star student, Headhunting Halo, rounds us out. I didn't realize all the comments this week were about dieting. He says, I'm supposed to be dieting, but I see the new Mountain Dew Star Spangled Splash, and oh man, this one has to be my favorite. Gonna be hard to shake this one. It's so good. While I was at it, since I cheated and got BBQ pulled pork pizza as well, also so good. Happy 4th, everyone. It's getting close. Also, what's everyone's intake on Sunset Overdrive? I never played it, but thinking of starting it. That's the red Mountain Dew you're talking about? Yeah, I shared a bottle of that a couple weeks ago with my girlfriend. We shared over the course of a weekend. We drank one bottle of it together. It was very good. I hate most Mountain Dew flavors these days. They're usually pretty terrible, but that one's very good. I wish I could drink more of it, but I can't. But anyway, yeah, man, dude, Sunset Overdrive. If you've never played Sunset Overdrive, stop everything you're doing. Stop listening to this podcast. Stop washing your dog. Stop mowing your lawn. Stop doing your kids' homework. Go play Sunset Overdrive. That game is a fucking gem. Honestly, I mean, best Xbox One games, like exclusive games of last generation. Sunset Overdrive, Quantum Break, Halo 5, probably my top 3. Bro, please go play Sunset Overdrive. It is so, so good. Better than Spider-Man. Better than Insomniac's Spider-Man 2018. I'm not going to say better than Spider-Man 2 because I haven't played it yet, but better than Spider-Man. Go play Sunset Overdrive. It is... Talk about jet grind radio. Talk about Tony Hawk. Sunset Overdrive is like the most modern game to encapsulate any modicum of the spirit and the energy and the happiness that those kinds of games had. It is, guys, so good, man. Please, for the love of God. The death animations, amazing. The gun variety, amazing. Once you finally master just fucking running up on walls and grinding on phone wires and all this crazy shit and swinging around the city, it's so good. It's such a satisfying game to play. For the love of God. Headhunting Halo, I love you. Happy 4th of July. Please play Sunset Overdrive. And to all of you guys, have a great week. Play Sunset Overdrive. Take care of your kids. Look both ways before crossing the street. Make healthy eating choices. Watch out for saturated fats. Eliminate trans fats entirely. Look both ways before crossing the street. Play Sunset Overdrive. Look both ways before crossing the street. Happy 4th of July. And until next week, play Sunset Overdrive. Power your dreams.
Let's understands when the tides will swing. So he's breaking down doors, never following. Because the pressures of this world, they can take the toll. The only way to break free is to break the mold.